Hello, I'm Refashionista Sheri, and as always, I am here to show you how easy it is to use what you have to make what you want, and welcome to the grand finale of our rewatch of my original 30 Days of Refashions from 2022. Today, we are doing some bold refashions that require no sewing and some that use a little something from maybe grandma's cupboard or the thrift shop. We'll see. But if you are not sure about how to get started refashioning or you want to brush up on your skills, I highly recommend downloading my awesome Refashioning 101 ebook, because as I always say, everything is in there, from going through your closet to how to sew to everything. I mean, everything is in there. So go and check it out. The link will be down below. And of course, it is, as always, very budget friendly. And now let's dive in to this tutorial compilation. We're going to transform this in just literally a couple of snips, no sewing at all, and we're going to make it awesome so I can actually wear it. Let's get started. For this super duper quick project, all you need is your slightly or more than slightly oversized shirt plus your scissors. So the very first thing you need to do is figure out how long you would like the back of your soon-to-be wrap top to be. And for myself, I find it easiest to put on a pair of pants or jeans or trousers that has already the ideal kind of height of waistband that I would like the length of my shirt to be, if that makes sense. Okay, so I put the shirt on with my ideal height of pants, and then just kind of put my finger right at the waistband and mark it with a piece of chalk. If you don't have chalk, just stick a pin in there. So as you can see here, my mark is not perfect at all, which is totally fine because we're just using it as a very basic guideline. Okay, so what you want to do now is cut only the back part of your shirt. You are leaving the front part as it is, and you're going to cut up the back to your line, straight across, and then back down again. So you can see here I have just the back of my shirt cut to that length that I want it to be, and I've tried it on and it is totally fine. I highly recommend at this point to go try your shirt on, and if you need to cut a little bit more, by all means go ahead. Now I have flipped my shirt over and I'm just going to chop straight down from the center of the neckline all the way down the front through the bottom hem. So of course, because I am me, I did manage to chop the back of mine a little bit too short. So instead of my normal rise jeans, I have on my super duper high rise jeans, which I love these high-waisted jeans so much. Anyway, so what you have now is a shirt that looks like this, that has these two generous side ties, and the bigger and stretchier your shirt is, of course, the longer you can stretch the ties. So you can simply knot it in the front and you're good to go. Or do the wrap shirt and wrap one side over the other side, stretch it as much as you need to, and tie it in the back. One more time. Yes, I can do it. Okay, and then just kind of arrange the front as you would like it, and there you go. Gorgeous. This is just so awesome now. I absolutely love that I can wear it different ways. I can throw it over a dress if I want to, just knot it in the front. Fantastic. And yeah, like, I'm also pleased that I can actually wear it with these fabulously high-waisted jeans. These jeans have such a high waist, it is insane, and they are so comfortable and so cool, and so absolutely totally vintage 80s, which is awesome. These are like the ultimate in high-waisted mom jeans, which is fine because I'm a mom, right? Yeah, these ones I can get them on. I can, you know, wiggle myself into them, and I can get the zip halfway up about, but yeah, that's not gonna do up at all. The button is way over here, and really, if I super strained, I probably could, but who wants to walk around like that all day? I don't think anybody does. So I was looking in my stash and I found this amazing bag of granny squares that I scored for free at a swap a couple of years ago. And I'm gonna see if I can somehow use these to upsize these trousers. So let's go give it a go. For this upsizing project, all you need is your 2 tight pants and a whole bunch of granny squares. So because these are 2 at a time, it's going to make life a little bit easier, I think, because I'm going to have to stitch them all together. So I'm going to just start right at the top of the waistband here and go all the way down the side of one leg of the trousers to get the kind of approximate length that I'm going to need. So I know how many I need to stitch together. Oh, and then we can sort them out after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh, not too bad. So it's going to take 8 granny squares in total down each side of my legs. And I do have actually, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have exactly that amount. So this project was meant to be. I have exactly the right amount to upsize these trousers. That is amazing. So I have flipped the trousers inside out just to check out the side seams here and remove them. And I think I seriously can just kind of take my seam ripper and zip right through, because these are huge stitches and they are very, very old. And look at this. I did a little kind of experiment already on the bottom, and I mean, I barely need my seam ripper to get these stitches out. So I'm going to go do that on both sides, remove the side seams. So now I have reached the waistband, and I'm just going to chop straight through, following the side seam opening. So I have stitched all of my granny squares into their great big long lengths here. Now let's go insert them into the trousers. So just the same as I always do, I have my trousers with the waistbands lined up because, as you know, I do kind of tend to sometimes put things in the wrong way. So it's always a good idea to have your front and back waistbands lined up correctly. And then I'm just going to put my granny square lengths here with the right sides facing, like so, and then go stitch all the way down that side, then put this side together and stitch all the way down this side to create my side panels, and then repeat everything on the other side of the trousers. So, not every refashion has to be a rousing success, right? And here's the proof. It looks good. It does. The inserts look really good, but I somehow seemed to make this like 3 or 4 sizes too big for me. Like, what? Anyway, so if you guys have any ideas of how I can oh my God, how I can make this actually fit me, I do of course really want to wear it, because look at how awesome it looks with my granny square vest. I mean, that's just perfect. I was going through my stash thinking, what can I kind of combine with this? And I found this top of a curtain that I have had for way too long in my stash as well. So let's go see if we can combine this with this and transform it into something kind of cool for fall. Let's go do it. Okay, so first I have pulled the sweater down kind of as far as it will comfortably go. Then I'm gonna grab my top of the curtain and position it where I think it would kind of look the best as the insert, which I think is like across my belly area here. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Then I have a pin and I'm just gonna mark, ta-da, and now I can go chop it to size. So now I have to create my insert fabric from the chopped curtain top. Oh, that's another tongue twister, chopped curtain top. Anyway, so what I've done is I've taken the bottom chopped part of the sweater because it is slightly wider, and I've just placed my curtain top on top of it, and I'm just going to kind of fold it to the size it needs to be, like so, plus a little bit of extra seam allowance here, and then go stitch this into kind of a tube shape. So you can see here is my seam where I stitch this together, chopped off the excess, and I'm going to put this in the back. So I have placed it with the right sides facing over top of the bottom part of my sweater, and now I'm just going to really carefully go stitch it all together, trying not to stretch the sweater too much, and also I'm going to try to follow this big seam as close as I can. Okay, this came out so much better than I thought it was going to, especially because I did end up having to do a little gather here in the back, as the sweater, of course, did stretch as I was stitching. Even though I was using the zigzag, my favorite zigzag, it's still stretched, but that's okay because it came out so good. And yeah, if this refashion doesn't work out, I can just transform this into a really cool bag. But let's see first if this is gonna work out. All right, so next step, I flipped the top of the chopped sweater inside out, and I have put the bottom half into the chopped sweater half with the right sides facing. And because the top, of course, was slightly smaller than the bottom of the sweater, everything seems to line up perfectly. So now I'm going to go stitch all of this together, and then we'll see if we're going to do anything else to it. It absolutely worked, and I cannot wait to try this on, but first I want to do something with these boring sleeves. So first I'm going to chop the sleeves off, and then I'm going to put them back on in a different way. Okay, so the sleeves are off, and as you can see, I chopped really close to this big, nice, bulky seam, but I did leave that seam intact. So I think I really want to have shorter sleeves, so I kind of measured on my own arm here and marked at just above my elbow. So now I'm just going to chop them to size, and I'm just going to pop the sleeve back into the armhole with the right sides facing. And the easiest way to line these up, seriously, is you see this seam here on the bottom, line it up with the underarm seam, and you're laughing. Now, clearly, this armhole is a lot bigger than this chopped sleeve now. So all I'm going to do as I'm stitching is really stretch this so it matches up. Okay, my sleeves are on and they look a little bit odd, so let's go try it on and style it up and have our fingers and toes crossed. So I think for an experiment, this came out surprisingly well. I mean, it's definitely not perfect, but it is super duper comfortable, and the fabrics are definitely not kind of going together as nicely as I would have wanted them to, but it's still a pretty darn adorable, and it looks magnificent with my fab floral tights. For this quick downsizing project, all you need is your too big top, plus a shirt that fits you properly, and of course your sewing gear. So your first step is to flip your too big shirt inside out, and you want to cut off the sleeves. Now, because this shirt is like insanely stretchy, the fabric it's crazy stretchy. The littlest breeze makes this stretch out huge. So I'm going to be cutting off my sleeves and leaving this kind of bulky seam here for now, because I really don't want the armhole to super stretch out. Once the sleeves are removed, then you can grab your template top and lay it on top of your too big top with the necklines and shoulder seams as lined up as you can get them. Again, it doesn't have to be super perfect, but as even as possible. And you can actually see here how much bigger this top is than the one that actually fits me properly. Like, so here is the shoulder seam, or the top of the armhole, and here, look at that. That's huge. That is huge. That's a huge amount of fabric for a shirt that is supposedly a medium. But again, as I said, we all know sizes are ridiculous nowadays. So once you have the top lined up, then you can go ahead and grab a pin and mark the bottom of your template top underarm seam onto the shirt here. And I'm going to take it in a couple extra centimeters as well, because I really do need to take in the sides, and then repeat that on the other side of the shirt. Alternatively, you can simply fold your shirt in half, line up those chopped armholes, and then put your pin in the same position. It's pretty easy to do it that way. And then all I'm going to do is kind of a gentle curve here from the armhole and stitch all the way straight down to the bottom of my shirt. And I'm going to do that, of course, on both sides. Now, once you have both of your sides stitched, I highly recommend going and trying your top on, just to make sure that your armholes are fitting correctly and they're not too big, they're not too small. If they are too big, you can always go ahead and stitch some more. If they're too small, then simply take your little seam ripper and open up those underarms a little bit to give yourself the space that you need. And now I'm just going to go and chop off the excess side fabric. So I have now put my shirt on inside out again, and you can see like the sides are so much better. This is fitting me so much better. And I decided to keep the kind of drop shoulder that the original shirt had. I just really like drop shoulders. Okay, so now let's reattach the sleeves. But if I were to simply, put this on, hello, that's kind of insane and long and huge. So I am just going to put the sleeve cuff where I want it, just a little bit past my wrist on my palm, and then kind of feel. You can kind of see there, but it's better just to feel, or you can fold it down so you can see there. And I'm gonna grab my pin and just mark plus a couple of centimeters there for seam allowance. I don't know if you can see that. And I've just marked where I need to chop my sleeves, so they're going to be the actual size I need. So I have both of my sleeves inside out with the cuffs lined up, the side seams lined up, everything lined up. And where I've marked with a pin, that sleeve is of course on top. So I'm just going to now cut them both to size. So you can see here, I tried to follow the original kind of angle as best as I could. So when I'm putting it back on, it should hopefully fit perfectly into those new armholes. So I now have one of my sleeves right side out and my shirt is inside out, and I'm going to pop the sleeve into the armhole, and there we have the right sides will be facing. And then this kind of a bottom seam here on the sleeve, I'm going to line up with the side seam of the shirt and pin that in place. Okay, now clearly, because my armholes are now much, much smaller, this sleeve is not simply going to go in there nicely. Like if I did put it in like this, I would have to get rid of all of this extra fabric, which would then shorten the sleeve too much. So what I'm going to do, and again, this fabric is so stretchy, so I hope this is going to be successful, is I'm going to match up here on the side as best as I can, all the way until I get to this shoulder seam. And then I'm just going to start gathering the excess fabric like so. So as you can see, I have pinned my sleeve in place here, and then at the top, I just kind of accordion folded and gathered up that excess so it kind of lined up with the shoulder seam. And I'm curious to see how this is going to come out because I've never done this before. So let's go stitch it on and see what happens. Okay, it is all stitched on now. So let's check it out. The moment of truth. Let's see if it worked. And hey, that actually, look at that. Look at that. The gathers look pretty good. Okay, let's go do the other side and then you can try it on. Okay, both of the sleeves are reattached and they look pretty similar. So yay me. Now it's time to try it on and style it up. Yay! Whoops, whoops, stuck again. These string curtains are super cool, but they always get stuck on bracelets and noses and mouths, and it's insane, but it looks cool, so that's what's important. Anyway, this actually fits me now, and like the sleeves are just perfect. I am so pleased with how everything came out. The sides are great. The only thing I'm wondering about is if you think I should maybe kind of crop this so I don't have to tuck it in, because it still is quite long. For this fast yet fancy project, all you need is your super long dress and your sewing gear. So the very first thing I'm going to do is chop the dress to the length that I would like my finished top to be, plus a couple of centimeters of seam allowance. Now I have already put this on inside out, and I know that just below the zipper is going to be absolutely perfect. So this is lovely, but it is a bit too tight, so I do have to upsize it just a bit. And it looks like that I'm going to have more than enough space here. I can just move this seam a little bit further out, and then I should gain about a centimeter or maybe even 2 on the sides, which will be more than enough. So all I'm going to do is unpick the sides. I mean, wow, that's coming off very easy already. But yeah, I'm just going to unpick these and then restitch them together, giving myself that little bit of extra space that I need. So I have my interior side seams redone, and you can see pretty much exactly how much I'm gaining. So, you know, that's like a centimeter there, a centimeter there. So in total, I'd say it's about 3.5 centimeters. So that should be more than enough. And my stitch is here, and then I did also go ahead and do a zigzag right along the edge to help prevent fraying. So you can see here on either side are the holes from the original stitches. Now most of the time, simply washing the garment in like a warm water wash will close up these holes. I'm not sure if it's going to do much with this one because it is so old and it is a polyester fabric, but I will definitely be trying that. So that's just a quick tip. If you do have these kind of ghost holes from a previous stitch, try washing in warm water, and hopefully it will help to close them up enough that they're not so noticeable anymore. As I was stitching, I did also go ahead and hem up the bottom, and I'm not sure if I like it because it came out pretty bulky, so I may be chopping it off and then using some cool vintage lace or something else to bind up the raw edge. We'll see what happens. So now we can finally move on to creating the awesome statement sleeves. Now this, of course, is the chopped bottom, so the skirt part of that maxi dress, and it's actually in 4 pieces that were sewn together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So all I'm going to do is leave the side seams as they are, but I'm going to pick it apart here at the front seam and at the back seam, which will then give me my 2 sleeve pieces. So now let's move on to making our cool statement sleeves. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is measure my armhole size so I know how, wide I can make my sleeves. So here it's about, say, from the shoulder, 22 centimeters, so 44 centimeters because we need a front and a back, and I'll add a centimeter for seam allowance, so 45 centimeters. So to get the length measurement for my first sleeve piece, I simply measured from the top of my shoulder down to about my mid-elbow because that's where I would like my kind of bigger statement bell to start, and that was about 32 centimeters. So I have one of my chopped skirt halves laid flat here and folded in half evenly. So I'm going to take my width measurement here, and let's do, was 22 and a half. And then I'm going to take my length measurement, which was about 32. And, whoop, you cannot see that, and pop a pin at about, say, 33 then, just for safety. And again, nothing I do is ever 100% meticulously measured. This is all just for basic cutting right now. And yeah, then I'm going to go chop it to size. Once I had one of my sleeve tops chopped out, I then used it as a template to chop out the other one, and then I stitched them both into tubes to create, my amazing sleeve tops. So one side will go in to the armholes and be stitched on, and then the other side is going to have the cool statement bell coming off of it. And I also went ahead and did my lovely bells here for the bottom of my statement sleeves. And to get the right length, all I did was to pop on the top of the sleeves over my arm, kind of arranging it at my shoulder. And then I put this bottom part of the skirt on the arm and simply kind of eyeballed it to get the right length, and then chopped it to size and sewed them into tubes. Okay, so let's put these together. So I have my bottom part, the bell part is inside out, and the top of the sleeve is right side out, and I'm just going to put that top of the sleeve inside the bell. Now, because both of these pieces do have side seams, that's what I'm going to use to initially line up, just so it, the side seams are going to be aligned, if nothing else. Okay, now clearly this is much too big to just simply fit on this, but this is what we want. We want to be able to have some nice little pin tucks here, and so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to fold my fabric like so and pin it in place, and then do the next one. And again, if you want these to be super even and equal, by all means go ahead, use your measurements. I don't really care. I think I've gotten pretty good at eyeballing by now. And things come out pretty darn awesome in my opinion. So I'm going to go finish this up and then stitch them together. Okay, it is all stitched together. Now let's do the moment of truth and flip it right side out. And okay, this absolutely worked. Wow. Look at that. Beautiful bell, beautiful sleeve. Wowza. Okay, let's go do the other one and then stitch them on the dress. If you've been following me for a while, then you should already know how I attach sleeves. But For those who maybe are new here, welcome, and I'll show you how I do it. So we have our top inside out and the sleeves right side out. And now all I'm going to do is put the sleeve inside the armhole, and you see when they are stitched together, the right sides will be facing. So we got to get everything lined up. And again, this is where using those kind of side seams comes in handy, because you can line up the underarm seam with a side seam, as well as up top here, the shoulder seam with a side seam, and then just go stitch it together. Okay, the sleeves are now both stitched on, so let's flip it right side out. Wowza. I mean, this definitely, let's just go put it on right now and style it up. You guys, holy shit, you guys. Seriously, this definitely calls for a holy shit. This is a holy shit moment, if there ever was a holy shit moment. Am I right? Because, I mean, hello. I seriously, sometimes I'm so proud of my own brain, for figuring stuff out. For this insanely fast project, all you need is your funky granny square blanket and a pair of scissors. Alrighty, so you want to find a blanket that when it's folded in half, like this one is folded in half lengthwise, you can kind of, see yourself wearing it as a poncho or a sweater. So the length is just about perfect on this one. And then to find the middle-ish square, all I'm going to do is fold it in half again, like so. So now it is double folded. And you know what's great about granny squares? You could actually not even fold this at all and just kind of count the squares to find the middle square. But I folded it already, so let's just do it this way. Okay, so you see where my finger is right here? This square right here is going to be the middle square. So I'm just going to pinch it with my finger till I get back over to my table. Okay, so here is my center square, and you can see here very easily, because it's different colors, that here is the yarn from the center square that is attaching it to the square on this side, and here on this side, and here and here. So you just want to chop that connecting yarn of the center square. You do not want to chop any of the other squares, because again, this is a no-sew project, so you're only cutting the yarn that is attached and holding that center square. So let's see if we can get closer here so you can kind of see it better. Now, for anyone who doesn't crochet, like I do not crochet anything beyond a chain stitch so far, but I'm trying to learn, this is kind of a really easy way to make yourself some awesome crochet granny square gear, and I just love it so much. And I really love the fact that you can go in a thrift store, find something like this that was clearly made with a lot of love and took a lot of time, and you can give it a new life and give it a new purpose for something that you will actually love and even wear. Okay, so let's make our first cuts here. Cut that, and it should come out nicely. Cut it again. And I'm just going to go all the way around the outside and cut all of these. And then I will go back later and remove the excess bits of yarn. Okay, so now our center bit is removed, and I mean, you can even use this now. You can use it as a little trivet or heating pad or a coaster, whatever you want. Just, clean up those edges, remove this, and you have your nice little finished edge and a little mini granny square. Okay, so to remove this part, you just want to kind of carefully, let's do this one here, carefully chop through and pull that out, and that yarn should come right out of those loops. And you see here now we are left with this nice finished edge here. So now I'm just going to go remove the rest of these loops, and then we can put it on. And there is our finished head hole, and it definitely is going to stretch wide enough to get on and off of my head. This again, I mean, come on, how adorable did this come out? It is super duper cozy and definitely better like this than it was before. And the best part is I can still use it as a blanket. I just, you know, can pop it on while I'm lounging on the sofa watching a series. For this awesome project, all you need is a flannel shirt and your sewing gear. So because my shirt has this annoying logo on the pocket, the first thing I'm going to do is cover it up with this adorable skull patch. After ironing on my skull patch, I popped the shirt on and marked where I would like to shorten it to because I want this to be slightly cropped, and then I'm going to use the excess fabric to create those awesome new sleeves. Then I went ahead and did a relatively tight zigzag all along the chopped edge here because I want this shirt to have kind of a deconstructed look, but I also don't want the bottom hem to start fraying crazily, and this should definitely help to prevent that. Then I popped my shirt on, and on one sleeve I marked the approximate area where I would like my kind of tiered bell balloon type of sleeves to start, and I've then folded my shirt evenly in half, and I'm just going to cut both sleeves to size. Now I'm going to take the leftover sleeve fabric and the leftover chopped bottom fabric and start to make my tiers for my sleeves. So first I'm just going to chop up the extra sleeve fabric here and get rid of those bulky seams. And now I'm just going to cut it right above this sleeve button. Okay, and now this last remaining piece I'm going to cut in half. Okay, next we're going to stitch these two pieces together to make a double size longer piece because we want to be able to gather up our tiers onto our sleeves. So that's why, of course, we have to make the chopped sleeve parts double in size so they kind of balloon and bell out. Okay, so now I have the first piece of my tiers, and now let's go work on the second one, which of course does have to be longer than this one, and yeah, let's hope we can make it work. So to create the second tier, I'm going to be using the chopped bottom. So clearly I can't really use this uneven curved edge for this project, but once it's chopped, it'll go in my stash for future use. So what I need to do first is fold this down so I can get kind of the absolute most fabric I can. And yeah, then I'm just going to go chop this to size. Now I have yet another super extra long length of fabric, and now I'm going to go chop this into two pieces because of course I have two sleeves. I need two of the super extra long pieces of fabric. So now I'm just going to go stitch the open ends of both of my lengths of fabric closed to create two loops of fabric. So I now have my two loops of fabric and I'm going to put them together. So I have the smaller loop with the right side facing out and the longer loop with the wrong side facing out. And I'm going to put the small one into the big one and then line up whichever side seam here. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all going to get tucked up together anyway. And then I'm just going to go around and yeah, do my little pin tucks to attach them. Now you can also use your machine or just hand stitching and gather up the edge of the longer piece, but I just prefer the look of the pin tucks. It's just a lot crisper, I think. Editing Sheri here. I just realized that this is the plaid shirt I was wearing in my Marty McFly Thrifty Copycat, so I shall link that down below for you. So I have it all nicely tucked and pinned, so let's go stitch it together. Okay, it is all stitched on. Now let's flip it and see. Okay. that looks like a tiny little skirt for an adorable child. Anyway, so I'm going to attach the sleeve back onto this little bit of remaining sleeve using the exact same method I did to achieve this look here with my little pin tucks. So I'm just going to flip that over so the right sides are facing. And then I'm just going to once again do my little pin tucks all the way around so the fabric will match up properly. And once again, we are now ready to go stitch it all together. All right, now let's flip that out. Oh, I think that looks super duper cute. Yeah, it really does. So now both sleeves are on. I just did a zigzag all the way around the edge of the sleeves to, you know, help prevent fraying. So let's go try it on and style it up. Seriously, again, more awesome sleeves. I think I am kind of becoming a little bit of a sleeve whisperer, if that's a thing, because my last few tutorials where I've, you know, remade sleeves, they've come out absolutely amazing. These, like, you would never know this was the same man's plaid shirt. This is going to be a 2-for-1 refashion because I am going to refashion this sweater dress that I made just a few tutorials ago. And yeah, I think we're going to start with the top and then we will move on to the bottom bit. So let's get going. So the very first thing I have to do is remove the top from the bottom. And yeah, I started to, you know, use my trusty little seam ripper here, but I stitched this on so very well that it would take me forever to remove this. So I think I'm just going to chop it to make life quicker and easier. So I have popped the top inside the bottom and I'm just going to cut it right as close to the seam here as I can get, effectively removing this whole piece that is stitched. We're going to use the chopped bits from those original sleeves to finish off this chopped bottom of the sweater now. Okay, so I have those last remaining pieces of the chopped sleeves inside out and laid flat together with those bulky seams lined up, because the first thing I'm going to do is chop off those bulky seams. So I now have two pieces that look like this. And of course, I can't really use this curved part up here, so I'm going to again lay the pieces together and chop off that curved top. Now, you know, I'm not big on measuring, but with this one, I think I have to. So I'm going to measure the width of my two pieces here, and it is about 22 centimeters. And when I compare that with the width of the sweater, which is 60 centimeters, then I think I can kind of figure out that I'm going to need 3 pieces of this in order to wrap all the way around the sweater. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll probably even end up with a little bit extra, which is never a bad thing. You know what's even easier than faffing about and measuring with this? Well, now that I know I need about 3 strips, I just accordion folded this into 3 even-ish parts, and now I'm just gonna cut them. Alrighty, so I just went and kind of held these up to my sweater bottom, and I think I actually am only going to need 4 of these, so I'm going to stitch these 4 all together into a nice long strip of fabric. So my nice long strip of knit fabric is done, and it is more than long enough to wrap around the bottom of my sweater. So I'm just going to go now and hem up one of the raw edge sides here. And I think I'm going to stretch as I stitch to kind of create that wavy, cool lettuce hem. How awesome did that come out? So here I have the back of the bottom of my sweater, and I am just going to start at one of the side seams here and just basically, you know, pop it together with the right sides facing and the lettuce edge here facing up, because then when it comes down, it will be the nice little ruffled bottom of my sweater. Yeah, and I'm just gonna stitch it on. Well, I was not paying attention and I stitched this on backwards. Luckily, I didn't get very far before I noticed my mistake, so I'm hoping I can remove this and just start again. You guys are not going to believe this, but I just freaking did it again. So I'm going to go and eat something, and hopefully that's going to help my brain a little bit, and then I'm going to try again. Okay, on the third try, I finally got it stitched together properly and it looks great. So now let's move on to recreating this chopped bottom. Now, a couple of you on the original video had commented that maybe I should try putting some kind of fabric through here to see if it would help, you know, make the dress look better. And that idea inspired me to transform this bottom half into a bag and then kind of weave the bag strap through these giant grommets here. But because this is chopped, the first thing I'm going to do is cover up and conceal this chopped edge here with this cute little binding stuff. And all this is is a chopped dress belt that I've had in my stash for literally years, and now I finally get to use it because it's brown and kind of orangish, so it's perfect. So now I have that raw edge all bound up, and it's not perfect, but you know what? It'll do. Now I went in my stash and I found this curtain fabric. So I think this should be more than enough fabric to create an interior lining and a strap for my soon-to-be bag. So I have my curtain fabric folded in half, and then I'm just going to grab this exterior of my bag and line up this edge here with this edge of the fabric, because I'm not going to have any lining on this part. This part is going to be what gets gathered up with the strap. So I just need the lining to be under the sweater part of this bag. And now that I have that all lined up, I'm going to go, and you can see here, and I'm just going to chop it all to size. So now I have my two interior bag lining pieces with right sides together, and I'm just going to stitch the sides and the bottom up, leaving this top part open. So the interior part of my bag is all stitched together now, super simple, and I went ahead and I boxed the corners. And to do that, all you do is basically slide your hand down one side. I like to take two fingers and put it into the corner and kind of spread it open a little bit like that with my fingers, and then pinch it so you have kind of a triangle shape, and then you just go stitch straight across. And when you flip your bag, then you have these lovely square edges here, and it just helps the bag to kind of keep its shape a little bit more nicer, I guess. And while I was doing this, I also stitched up the bottom of the sweater here, and I boxed the corners of that as well. So now let's go put it all together. So I have my liner fabric popped inside of the exterior fabric here, and I have the wrong sides facing. So then I'm just going to go and stitch all of this together. So look at that beautiful interior fabric. It is all stitched on, and I mean, this bag is actually quite huge, very, very roomy, which is awesome. So now let's go sort out that strap.
So I stitched a long piece of that remaining curtain fabric into a tube, then flipped it right side out, and this is what I'm going to use for my strap. So I think the easiest thing here, I'm just going to start going and putting it through the grommets, weaving it in and out, and yeah, then I'm just going to kind of figure out which is the best side to pull it all through, and we'll see ya when it's all styled up.
How totally cute is this now? I mean, this is so much better as a top than as a sweater dress. I'm definitely gonna wear it like this way more often. And it also looks, of course, fantastic with my super crazy high-waisted jeans. And yeah, the bag's actually pretty okay as well. It's just kind of a big slouchy bag. I put a pillow in here because if I don't, it's just kind of like, whoop.
For this cool and comfy project, you'll need a piece of fabric that comfortably wraps around your lower half a couple of times, plus a pair of wide, loose pants to use as a template, and of course, your sewing gear. Next, take your fabric and fold it evenly in half widthwise, and we're going to just cut it directly in half on the fold there. Now, just for reference, my fabric is 210 centimeters wide by about 115 centimeters long. Next, you want to grab one of those chopped halves and fold it in half widthwise, and then simply go stitch that raw chopped open edge closed. And you'll end up with a great big long tube of fabric. Then once that's done, go repeat with the other piece of fabric. Once you have your two tubes, then you want to put one on top of the other with the folded sides and the stitch sides lined up with each other. Next, you want to grab your comfy template pants, flip them inside out, and fold them in half and pull out the kind of gusset crotch area here, and then lay them evenly on top of your fabric tube pieces. Now, I always like to make sure that this kind of interior inseam here is lined up here with my tube seams, just because then these seams will be on the inside of the legs and the nice fold will be on the outside of the legs. Also, my lounge pants here are crazy high-waisted. I don't want these to be quite as high-waisted, so that's why I have my waistband a little bit above up here. But now I'm just gonna go chop this lovely little smile shape out. So now you should have two tubes of fabric that have this lovely little curve chopped out of one side. Okay, now we're gonna flip one of them like so. So we have that side seam here is facing up, and we've changed that little curve into a V shape here, and this one is inside out. Then I'm going to grab the other tube of fabric, and this one is right side out. And we're going to take the right side out piece and we're going to pop it into the inside out piece. And why do we do this? So when it's all done, the right sides will be facing. Just going to shake all this down. So now I have one of my pant legs inside of the other pant leg, and I'm just making sure that I have these seams here lined up together all the way up to the top. Everything is lined up, and now I'm just going to go stitch these two V shapes together. So my V's are now stitched together, and I did also go around and trim off the bit of excess fabric with my pinking shears to help prevent fraying. Now let's pull one leg out of the other leg, and Ta-da! We have a pair of very, very, very wide-legged trousers. Okay, now all we have to do is figure out what kind of waistband we want. Now, because this is such a sheer fabric, I really don't want to use like a drawstring or even a yoga-style waistband because I don't think it would hold. So I'm just gonna fold it down and stitch a casing here and put in an elastic waist. And my elastic waistband is complete and everything's flipped right side out. So let's go try them on and style them up.
These are so fantastic. They came out so much better than I thought they were going to. I was a little bit concerned that they were going to be too wide, but they're absolutely perfect. And of course they match perfectly with my dress to jacket refashion here and my lovely hat band. And of course, the tutorial that kicked off my fantastic 30 days of refashions was the Babydoll dress that I made out of this fabric. So it's only fitting that we are now ending off the 30 days of refashions with the last of that fabric for the last tutorial. Can you believe it? We actually got through all 30 of the projects that I shared in my original 30 days of refashions. And this was, of course, all in preparation for my brand new 30 days of refashion starting tomorrow, September 1st. And why September? Because it's my birthday month. So I am giving you a little gift every single day for the month of September. I will be sharing a brand new rockin' Refashionista video. And if you are wanting me to make something just for you, check out my Refashionista boxes. There's a whole bunch of different choices and they are all very budget friendly. And if you want to crack open my Refashionista brain for yourself, then I suggest joining one of my live closet fix sessions. They are very small groups and very budget friendly, as everything that I do, because I truly believe that everyone can use what they have to make what they want. So all the links mentioned, of course, are down below. If you missed any of the videos, the playlist is going to be down below for you too, so you can go back and prepare yourself for the launch of the all-new 30 Days of Refashions coming right at you tomorrow. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag. And as always, you can, have your name added here if you join my channel and get some awesome member perks too.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.